All right, so before we begin introducing you to our esteemed guest, we would like to acknowledge the land that the Refugee Centre is located on as unceded Indigenous land. We respect the Kanagahaga Nation as custodians of the lands and waters on which we gather today, and the Tiohtià:ke territory as the gathering place of the First Nations. Welcome everyone to the Refugee Centre's Election Guide series, in which we are covering the topic of immigration with Montreal's political candidates. Today we have with us Fabiola Nigamalu Tiumeni, the NDP candidate for Dorval-Lachine LaSalle riding. Hello, Fabiola, and thank you so much for joining us. To get started, would you like to introduce yourself and explain a little bit about why you felt it prevalent to speak with us today about immigration within Canada?
Hello, my name is Fabiola Gamarutimani, NDP candidate for Dorval-Lachine LaSalle. Thank you so much for having me. I felt it was important to speak about immigration because I am also an immigrant. I am a child of immigrants. And so it is something that touches, that is very close to me and very close to, what I've been through and what I've gone through. And it's important to show folks what the NDP's policies on immigration can be and what a Canada with an NDP government, who has immigration policies that are very open can look like. So I thought it was very important to be able to share that with you all.
Thank you so much. So to get started, our goal here is to inform our community on various political issues that affect immigration and how your party would generally confront these conflicts. Lauren, if you would like to start us off with questions, be my guest.
Yeah, of course. So like you just mentioned, you immigrated to Quebec as a child. So what Canadian policies do you feel need to be changed to better support immigrants and refugees arriving in Canada?
We definitely need to have a big focus on diploma recognition. When my parents immigrated here, it was very hard for them to find a job in the field of study that they studied. And so they had to go back to school. And that was really hard on them with having twins. I have a twin brother. And so, we were very young. We were about 4 years old in a new country, going through the Canadian cold, and now you have to go back to school and start all over again. My mom went back to CEGEP. My dad did a few classes so that they can really jump into the Quebec and Canadian job market. And I think that it's very important to be able to focus on improving policies for foreign credential recognition so that we don't have to go through that, because it's very heavy on families to have to restart. It's costly, given that you're already moving to a new country. It's adding on school tuitions and stuff that it shouldn't be, So I think that would be really important. Perfect. So I was talking about family reunification. When we arrived here, we were very ostracized from our family because we didn't have anybody with us, And so it was very difficult for my parents to not have that familial resource. And having them come and starting the process of having them come here was very arduous. A lot of paperwork, visas getting rejected, hearts broken because of that. Fortunately, we were able to have my mother's family come here, but the process has been a lot arduous, a lot harder for my dad's family, and that weighs on your quality of life. Not being able to have your family near you, not being able to speak to them, and that the conditions of their lives in the country that they're in is not the best. So you try to provide as much as you can, but it's still very, very hard. So familial reunification is something that needs to be improved in order to better the quality of life of Canadians who want to come here and who want to live here. Absolutely.
Most definitely, yeah. Thank you. So your motto, advocating for the unheard, how do you feel that fits in with refugee-related rights? And why do you feel that it's important?
I feel as though when we think of refugees, we often think of folks who are just coming here to, take away our jobs and our rights, which is completely not true. And for people who think that way, it actually hinders what we're trying to do. Refugee people are fleeing violence or fleeing persecution or fleeing countries that aren't providing for them, when coming to a country that can do the most, that can provide for them. And so a lot of the times they're shunned, ostracized, casted aside, and unheard. We don't listen to their pain. We don't listen to the arduous process of fleeing a country. And I want to be an advocate for that. I want to be an advocate for those who can't be able to speak up for themselves, for refugees who are struggling with this whole process. And I think that I'm, starting to do that in my political journey as well.
Thank you very much for your answer. Our third question is, Canada has a long history, as you know, of continued persecution and discrimination against varied groups. What are you doing to combat hate and racism against refugees and newcomers?
I think that it starts with being very vocal and advocating. Within my own community, in my writing, we have a very strong immigrant and refugee community, so it's going to your current MP and, pressing on, we need you to be more vocal in Parliament about that. We need you to be, more vocal within the community as well. Unfortunately, in my writing, our MP is sort of wishy-washy, and so that makes it very difficult to have her be present. But I'm always present in going to advocate, going to writing the letters, doing the calls, so that we can move forward with this process and create a better Canada for these people that are coming here just to live and be happy. Yeah.
Amazing, thank you. You touched on this a little bit earlier. What narrative do you feel that we need to adopt on the topic of newcomers arriving in Canada?
That they're here to help grow and better and contribute to making Canada stronger. When we keep families together and help newcomers, they contribute to our communities, they enrich our communities. They're not here to harm, they're not here to divide, they're here to make us better. And I think that with policies that we have currently, we're not respecting that, and we're not advocating for that type of discourse. It's very divisive at the moment, and it shouldn't be that way. No, because I truly believe that with immigration and refugees coming here, it contributes to building a Canada that's fairer, that's juster, and that's beautiful. Yeah.
Thank you very much. So how do you plan to represent refugees and immigrants of Montreal in Parliament with respect to your party's platform?
So definitely in terms of policies, it goes with the 3 following points that I mentioned earlier. Faster process for family reunification. Visas can take years and years to acquire, and it shouldn't be that way. And then it would be helping immigrants contribute to the economy. Your diploma that you received where elsewhere is still valid, and it still should be valid because you don't lose those skills. So it's to contribute to developing more skills and helping them find jobs. And then it's doing our fair share to welcoming refugees fleeing violence. It shouldn't be this big political debate as to whether we should welcome or not welcome. These people need help. We are in the position to provide help. So let's do that. Let's take that step as we should. Being a country that is very developed, it is our duty, and it is our duty to be able to take that step and provide, for countries and folks that come from countries that are less fortunate. So that is where the NDP stands, and that is what the work that we will be doing. Yeah.
Amazing. Speaking of standing up for refugee rights and providing, the world will be feeling the effects of the events in Afghanistan for years to come. Do you feel that Canada's plan to receive 20,000 Afghan refugees will be enough?
Absolutely not. I think that we need to take a stronger position and accept more folks. We had a strong position and play in what has happened in Afghanistan. And so we need to we need to take our part. We created a problem, now we need to solve it. And by solving it is by accepting more refugees and providing them with the resources when they arrive here. You know, we can't create a problem in another country and then wash our hands of it. That's being hypocritical. And I don't stand for it. So absolutely 20,000 refugees is not enough. You know, we have the resources, so I don't know why we're not using them. The math isn't mathing. So definitely, there's a lot more to be done, and it starts with us. Absolutely.
I'm going to ask you one last question.
Absolutely.
So the immigration backlog is often talked about by political candidates. How do you plan on voicing your concerns on this issue in Parliament?
I feel this issue personally. You know, my parents, mostly my dad, has been trying to get his sisters to come to Canada for years and years and years on end, and either the visas are dragged out, or you know, the documentation's dragged out, or they're refused on you know, like technicalities. And so it's about being vocal in Parliament and about presenting bills that move forward with the process. You know, we can't just be sitting on our hands and feet while folks are waiting. And the wait is like, whether it's from the family that's waiting to receive that's waiting for the family reunification, or people that are coming here, the wait is terrible. You know, I've gone through it, my family has gone through it. It's something that people shouldn't be living with. And so definitely about being vocal about it, presenting bills to move the process along, and pressure our immigration minister. You know, like, you have the role to, and you have the position and the power to be able to do something about it. So you need to be taking up that ownership and leading in that position. So definitely, yeah.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Fabiola, for taking the time to speak with us today and partaking in our election guide. We greatly appreciate your insight on Canada's current immigration issues, and we wish you all the best with your political campaign. And thank you to all of our viewers tuning in and staying informed. Just a reminder to get out and vote on the early voting days or on the 20th of September. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me.